Want a simple and tasty Japanese style pasta recipe? Well, regardless if you've had Japanese style pasta or not, here is a good one to start with. You only need one key ingredient. Can you guess what that might be? It's said that Italian food is amazingly delicious because of the quality of the ingredients that are used. And I think that's absolutely true, at least based on my experiences traveling and eating in the country. But what about you? Let me know in the comments. You may be surprised to hear, though, some of the best Italian food that I've had outside of Italy was actually in Japan. And you may have noticed at the supermarkets or farmers markets that the produce actually also looks like it's pretty high quality. Not only on the surface level, so the way that it looks, but also if you've actually bitten into a piece of fresh fruit, or maybe even had a chance to cook with some of the vegetables or other products there, you may have noticed that it tastes quite good. So similar to Italy, I think the farmers in Japan take actually really good care of their crops, and the result of that care is amazing, delicious flavor, high quality flavor. So for example, just using one of the simplest ingredients, using a low quality olive oil as compared to something that's a little bit more higher quality, you may have experienced that there is quite a difference in the flavor. Not only that, but also the aromatic aspect and the mouthfeel, or the way that it feels in your mouth, and the aftertaste. And if you have really high quality ingredients to start out with when you're cooking, everything else will just take care of itself. So for this recipe, we're going to be keeping things pretty simple. You're going to be needing about a pound of spaghetti, two 28-ounce cans of tomato, if you can get whole tomatoes that are also organic and from Italy, even better. A little bit of fresh shiso or perilla if you can find it, alternatively red or green basil. About 2 cups of onion, thinly sliced, which helps them to cook quickly. About 2 cloves of garlic. 3 tablespoons of shiokoji, which is my favorite fermented rice product that has a little bit of salt added to it. About a half teaspoon of red pepper flakes, dash of white pepper. So the first thing that you're going to want to start with is cooking the onions. You want them to slightly brown to help increase some of that flavor and also cut down on the sharpness or the spiciness of the onions. If you can get red onions, they're going to be a little bit sweeter and helps to make things a little bit more mellow as compared to white or brown onions. And once you have those onions browning a little bit, then you can go ahead and throw in the garlic. And then once the garlic has cooked for about 45 seconds or so, throw in the tomato sauce along with the shiokoji and the pepper. You're going to want to cook that for about 20 minutes, roughly 15 to 20 minutes, to help all of those flavors meld together. And also if you want a more concentrated or less saucy pasta sauce, you might want to cook it down maybe even a little longer. In the meantime, you can get your pasta started. So usually I use about 4 quarts of water with 1 tablespoon of salt, and I add the pasta in and let it cook until before it's al dente, so that you can actually finish cooking the pasta in the tomato sauce. And so that helps the pasta to absorb a little bit of that tomato flavor, versus if you were to just combine the al dente pasta and then the sauce and then serve it right away. So I usually cook it after the pasta has been drained for anywhere about 1 to 2 minutes at the most, and by that time, once you cook the pasta with the sauce for 1 to 2 minutes, it will become al dente in that texture if that's what you're going for. So that was the first tip for you. Whenever I have a saucy sauce, I usually like to finish the pasta cooking in the sauce that I'm going to be using to season the pasta. The second thing is if you like things saucy, so if you don't like thick sauces but you'd rather prefer like a runnier sauce, then you can also save some pasta water after the pasta is done cooking and add it to your sauce to thin it out if desired. If you can't find shiokoji, which is the key ingredient to making this traditional, I guess, Italian pomodoro pasta, Japanese, then what you can do instead is use a little bit of soy sauce as a substitute, alternatively miso paste. So a similar amount, maybe 2 to 3 teaspoons roughly. It's going to taste a little bit different because shiokoji doesn't have as strong of a flavor, but it'll give you a little bit of a different taste profile as compared to just using salt. If you're open to putting a little bit more work into making this pasta even more gourmet or more homemade, so you can also consider making a fresh pasta, making that from scratch as compared to using dried pasta. Also, taking that a step further, if you have a garden or you're into gardening and growing your own produce, your tomatoes for example, you can grow your own tomatoes and not only use them but roast them, which is going to take things even more to the next level than they already are with the shiokoji. And because this Japanese style pasta is relatively simple, what you can do to make sure that you get the most bang for your buck or leverage the time that you're spending cooking is to make a big batch of the sauce and freeze it for a later time in the year. Maybe a day that you don't feel like cooking, if you froze your pasta sauce, all you gotta do is thaw it and then cook some pasta and then you have a delicious meal ready to eat within just a few minutes without cooking too much. And you can even use this pasta sauce on pizza if you wanted to put a tomato sauce on your pizza, or if you wanted to dip some bread into a tomato-based sauce, that could work as well. The last thing that I have for you is to make this Japanese style pasta recipe your own. So if you don't have all of the ingredients, you can make a few substitutions, some of which I like to do every now and then. One is to substitute the onions with some shallots, or a different colored onion, or maybe even a mixture. You can also change up the pepper. Instead of using white pepper, use black pepper, green peppercorns, red peppercorns, or a blend of peppercorns to give you a little bit of a different flavor profile. You can also use, like I mentioned, shiso. If you can't find that, use some parsley, or maybe even consider leaving one of those out for a different flavor altogether, or even throw in some cheese. So once your pasta sauce has cooked for about 20 minutes or so, you can actually taste it to see if you want things a little bit saltier, a little bit sweeter. You can adjust with a little bit more shiokoji, or put in a little bit of sugar or honey if you want things on the sweeter side, depending on the types of tomatoes that you're using. Some may be a little bit more tart or acidic as compared to others. And once your tomato sauce is ready, I usually just put it onto a simmer, and while the pasta is finishing cooking, then once the pasta is done, just before al dente, I'll throw some in, however much I'm going to eat, and then mix the pasta with the sauce, cook it for 1 or 2 minutes, and then serve. Oh yeah, and one other tip regarding the actual pasta that you're going to be using. If you aren't going to be making pasta from scratch using fresh pasta, make sure, if you can, to get a dried pasta that has been made with bronze dyes. And the way that you can tell is obviously by looking at the package and seeing how the pasta was created or produced. Alternatively, you can actually look at the pasta itself and see if there is a powdery sort of surface or irregular surface, a rough looking surface, which usually indicates that it's going to be a pasta that will help the sauce cling to it thanks to the rough surface texture as compared to something that was smooth. So that's usually what I look for when I'm searching for or buying dried pasta. In addition, if it is made in Italy, that's also a plus in my book as well. And try different brands to see if you can tell a difference in terms of the flavor, or if it's even worth paying for something more that has been imported as compared to an American-made pasta, and see for yourself what your preferences are. So let me know what you think of this video. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up to let me know. Share this with a friend if you've gotten any value out of it, because if you've gotten value out of it, maybe they will as well. So do you think you'll be trying this recipe? Let me know if you will with a comment. If you have any questions or feedback, leave them below. I'm always looking to make things better for next time. And until then, I guess I will see you in my next video.